Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. How are you today? Excellent. I'm wonderful. Today, I'm going to talk about what is new in perl 5.12. But first, a little bit about myself. My name is Brocard. I like tasty food, so I'm very happy here in Italy. I'm European. I founded a few perlmonger groups. I started Amsterdam perlmongers, Bath perlmongers, Croydon perlmongers, and I skipped a few letters, and now I'm head of London perlmongers, which is one of the big perlmonger groups. I started Yaxi Europe in the year 2000, so it's all my fault. And my favorite color is orange, so if you ever see any orange things in perl, it's because of me. Although the t-shirts for the last couple of years have been green, I'm not sure what's going on there. For the last couple of years, I've been an entrepreneur. I've been starting lots of small businesses and seeing what businesses work, which is really what perl does all the time. Perl keeps on trying new things and makes it more flexible and easy to try new things. So I think that goes quite well. And I'm a perl hacker. But I mean little p perl in this case. Big P perl is language. So it's what you write your code in. It's what you upload to CPAN. It's coding in perl or dollar signs and so on. But perl itself, the perl executable and the perl core, is written in C, which is not perl. So there's a bit of distance between the two. If you want to hack on perl itself, you have to learn not only perl, but also C and how the internals work. And I've been very different to working on the core in the past. Now, here we have a quick test. Does anyone still use perl 1? Perl 2, 3, 4. There's always someone. Perl 5. Surely everyone, right, that's good. But you can see from this numbering or from the dates, that basically release a major version of perl every couple of years, whenever we want to. But there have been big gaps towards the end. And if you look at perl 5, okay, we've changed numbering scheme from 001 and so on, and now we're on semantic versioning, we're more like Linux versioning. So even numbers are stable releases and odd numbers are developer releases. But we've made big jumps, and there was a big time difference between 5.8 and 5.10, and we've decided that releases are actually quite a good thing. And so we're going to do it more often. And the more often you do a release, the more people get involved, the better you are at it, and the faster you can get things out to the final users. Because people got very annoyed when they added a feature to perl, and 4 years later it actually got out to the users. It's not very good feedback as well. And so Jesse Vincent especially has been critical in pushing faster releases of perl. So he uses perl 5.8, 5.10. Does anyone use 5.12? Excellent. And I'll try and explain that we're putting out lots of releases. So we're putting out development releases every month. So this is a good way to get new people into perl releases who understand how releases are made, and once they start doing that, we try and get them to do other things in perl. That's a good way of doing it. So Jesse Vincent's the person who's pumping for perl. He's literally in charge of everything. And then every month, on the 20th of the month, everyone releases. Some people, one person releases a development version of perl. So we skipped Ask, for example, because we released perl 5.12 for that month. So there's no point in doing a development release. And this is going up till Christmas. We have a schedule. And this is up to last month. So David released at OSCON a couple of weeks ago. One of the things that has been pretty important in this round of hacking on perl is that we've got a paid developer to work on fixing core bugs. Because fixing bugs is not the most exciting task to do. And we've got a grant from Booking.com and through the Perl Foundation to pay Dave Mitchell to actually just work on bugs all the time. And it's very, very useful. For example, this was his first grant report. He actually went through 500 tickets, deciding whether or not this was a real bug report, or not a real bug report, and so on. And actually labeled bugs. And that kind of thing, which isn't very exciting, but needs to be done. And this is a similar report from June. So he spent around 50 hours on fixing bugs. Some of the bugs which is close are taking a long time to fix because you need to know a great deal about how it's going. But basically, we're fixing lots of bugs. So 5.12 came out, and about 2 years after the last version of Perl, of 5.10, and has 750,000 lines of changes, over 3,000 files, and 200 authors. So you're getting a grasp of how many people are involved in developing Perl. And 5.12.1, which is like a little point release afterwards to fix a few minor things, even that has 28 authors, 142 files. And the latest stable release, 5.13.3, development release, so over 4 weeks or so, even that has 12,000 lines of changes. So you can see the change of progress is high. There's 5.12 is a big jump from 5.10. There's been lots of development time, and we've increased the number of tests. So even the core tests and the development tests and the library tests have also increased. So there's not much change for 5.12.1, but it's very well tested. And just in case you got what was in 5.10, we have smart matching. It's kind of like equals tilde but on steroids. You have named captures and regular expressions. You never have to assign to $1 or $2 anymore. State variables, defined law. My favorite feature is say, which is like print but with a new line, and it's a couple of characters shorter. But what you're here to know about is 5.12. And this is by far the most important feature in 5.12. We've gone through every file in the core source code has written in C, has a little quote at the top, generally from J.R.R. Tolkien, so Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit. So this quote here. Does anyone know what file this is in? Really? It's in mg.c, which is the piece of is the file which handles the magic in Perl. So the quote is appropriate. I'll buy you a video drum, or whatever you want to. We've been doing some slight tweaks to the syntax. What we generally want to do is not break too many things, but we want to make things more concise. So this is a typical one. Whenever you declare a package in Perl, if you put it on the C plan, it's going to put a version number, and so you just say package 3.1.23 and what's your input. And we've stolen some more ideas from Perl 6. This is the yada yada operator. So basically, people put ... in example code, whatever they said. It's not actually important what's here. It's just some code here. And we've made that syntax work in Perl. If you have ... in a program, it will just silently accept it. But when it's called, it will say, this bit here is unimplemented on this file and at this line. So now go ahead and fill it in. So it helps you sketch out programs and plan ahead, and then you can implement it as you go along. We've implemented some strictures. So if you say use 5.12.0, it means use strict, not use warnings yet, and use all the features of 5.12. So that's say, for example, you can use Unicode, you can use this switch, for example, and it's just shortens what you need to say up. We have upgraded the latest version of Unicode. New versions of Unicode come out all the time. So we have access to some new scripts and some new characters and updates to some scripts I've never heard of before. But this will be useful to some people, I'm sure. And I don't know if you remember the year 2000 bug, and that was a really big problem. At the time, it seemed like all programs were going to crash. And there's in Unix, there's a similar bug, which is the year 2038 bug, which is when the number of seconds since 1970 is no longer fits into a signed 32-bit word. And you'll be happy to know that we knew this was going to happen, and we fixed it way ahead of 2038. So you'll never have to worry about it again. We're fine for another couple of 100,000 years. One of the major good features in 5.10.1 was the auto-die module, and this is also on CPAN. We put it in the core. It's for functions which, in Perl, generally IO functions, which return successful failure. And if you want to open a file handle, for example, in Perl, normally you have to check the return value of the function, and then if it's failed, do some sort of error handling, throw an exception. And if you use the auto-die function, auto-die module, that will automatically catch these errors for you and give a sensible error message. So this will, for example, say, if you're trying to open a file which is missing, then it will say, you're trying to open this file, but it's not there at this file in this line. Regex are first-class objects internally in Perl. Probably doesn't mean much to you, but because of this, we can now overload QRs. So if you want to implement a new syntax for regular expressions, for example, you can now do this. This is one example of this is David Conway's Regex grammars module, which tries to implement Perl 6 style grammars in Perl 5. Please look at that for details of how it works. Because what we've been trying to do is, rather than add features to Perl 5, we want to add hooks. So it's possible to make features. The idea is you can play with features on CPAN rather than actually it being in the core. Then we try it out, and then it doesn't actually work, so we have to deprecate it. So instead we just add hooks into Perl 5, and then you can play around with it in Perl space or in access space. And the good ideas on CPAN, you can eventually make it back to the core. And another part of this is pluggable keywords. So this is Zekram's idea. And the idea is you can, from a module, an extension, you can extend syntax of Perl. So his test is in, for API test keyword RPM, for example, you can have reverse Perlish notation in Perl. So anything inside the RPM brackets is part of the module, and the module generates opcodes for the reverse Perlish notation, which is equivalent to the thing below. So basically, you can mess around with the entire syntax of Perl and change it however you want. And we do this on CPAN space without having to have DOM releases in Perl and deprecate it. It doesn't work. And you know, there are lots of other features in 5.12 because it's 2 years worth of development. So there's lots of things. There's /N, it's an experimental regex feature, which is anything but a new line. We've had more APIs for internals, so for example, lexical import is a very, very simple way to just import a function from another namespace lexically. You can override a function lookup. You can have your own method resolution order if you want to implement a different object orientation tree. There's support for dtrace if you're using Solaris or FreeBSD and you want to hook into the Perl internals and do profiling. Each is a bit more flexible. You can use when there's a statement modifier, so at the end of your sentence. You can have extra warnings. We support abstract namespace sockets, which is a special type of Linux socket. And if you have very, very long strings, you can do substrate on them. And for distributions, we've tweaked the @inc order around slightly to make it happiest for distributions and for user modules to live happily in harmony rather than trying to clash over which should be important first. Because Switch and Smart Match were introduced in 5.10, there are some minor cases where we're mostly to do with undef, where we kind of tweak the semantics slightly. And we've also